Hi guys, we're Travel Tays.
And for the past few weeks we've been travelling along the NC500 with our van. In today's video we're going to share with you some key information which might make your NC500 trip that much better.
As well as one thing we would do differently next time.
We're actually parked up beside this beautiful lake, or loch should I say. It's called Loch to Gyle and it's just south of this town called Shieldag. And today unfortunately is our last full day of our adventure here. We actually decided to do this video because we had a lot of great feedback from you, and I know a lot of you are actually planning to travel up here in the summer months or even in the coming years. So let's get back in the van and get started.
For those of you that don't know, the NC500 is an impressive scenic route along the north coast of Scotland.
It actually starts in Inverness and goes all the way around the coast and then back to Inverness again.
It's a loop basically. There are loads of attractions along the route, such as castles, lakes, mountains, coastline, wildlife as well.
There's something for everyone.
Yes, it's amazing. It's really popular with hikers, backpackers. We saw a couple as well in their car, but especially as well with motorhomes and vans.
Yeah, a lot of rentals too as well.
Lots of rentals, yes.
There's loads of options where you can rent a motorhome or van if you don't have one, and do it that way. So many.
It's a unique experience, I would say.
And I think this is the only place so far you see more motorhomes than cars. Which can be a good thing or a bad thing. We decided to do ours from east to west, and the reason behind that is because most of the beautiful places that we saw online were on the west side of the coast, and that way the views just kept getting better and better.
We felt like we're on another planet.
Yeah, it was like a journey as well, like kind of evolving to different scenery and different landscapes as you go further and further. Now we actually spent a total of 3 weeks from Inverness to get here, so we took it slow, but keep in mind we were also filming videos and editing as well. So I would say we only did about 2 weeks of traveling days and exploring days, and the rest was kind of just stationary, either waiting for the weather to pass or even just editing and catching up on work. I think it was the perfect amount of time for us. Obviously we would have loved to stay longer, but I think that's kind of an ideal length to do it, like between 10 and 15 days, and that way you get to kind of calm down, unwind a bit and see a bit of everything as well. Obviously there are some places you have to miss along the way, but we got to see like what we wanted to see.
We didn't miss a lot though.
I think so. Our last videos are vlogs all along the NC500. After you watch this video, feel free to go and check them out as well to see exactly what we got up to.
If you're new here, we've been traveling and living in our motorhome for 2 years now, but for the past 3 months we've been in the UK, and we decided to leave Scotland for the very end.
Yeah, there's a few reasons for that. First of all is the peak season. Now obviously, like anywhere else in summer, you've got July and August, which are normally the peak months. You normally get good weather, but at the same time it's packed. So we're talking about the campsites, viewpoints, locations to visit, and even just on the busy roads. So we decided to go in the mid-season, which is here between May and June, and that gives us the best of both worlds. We've got not so much people out and about, but at the same time we had a bit of good weather as well, because it seems that like in the winter months it does get pretty harsh here in Scotland. Some of the roads are even closed, so it kind of takes away from the experience. In regards to weather, we had a mix of everything really. I think the biggest problem here along the NC500 is wind. We didn't really have much problem with rain, to be honest, because it didn't rain too heavy during our trip, but we had quite a bit of wind every now and then. But as well as that, mixed into that, we had so many beautiful days. Not all of them start beautiful, some of them are a bit cloudy in the morning, but then we had some amazing afternoons and beautiful sunsets.
It's so unpredictable. You can never depend on the weather forecast.
You were just like looking out the window and reading the clouds and just going for it really.
I became really good, right? Reading the clouds, telling you, Chris, now you have to put the drone up because it's gonna be nice in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you got 5 minutes to 15 minutes to put up the drone. Yeah, you were getting good at that, weren't you? Obviously in regards to weather, the earlier you come you're going to have a bit more wind and rain, I would guess, but obviously then closer towards summer you're going to have warmer weather. With the warmer weather come the midges.
Oh my God.
Our experience here was mixed. As I mentioned, we had quite a few windy days, and although on those days we had to kind of get out our hoodies, it meant that there were no midges. Unfortunately, on the beautiful days, especially like even like last night in this very parking lot, the midges were here, and it kind of makes it unbearable. Even if you open the van
You
door,
can't go out. Basically, you can't go. You have a beautiful sunset waiting for you, but you can't get out of the van because they will eat you alive, I think.
exactly. And even if you go outside, open the door like for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
How many did we have
they
in here?
come
We had
in
about
very quickly.
100 of them in here, but we managed to get rid of them. And generally speaking, it wasn't a problem because we had a bit of a breeze and windy days most of the time.
For those of you that don't know what midges are, basically it's a small insect that lives up to 3 days and they bite you a lot. And they live, I think, only in these areas like of Scotland.
Yeah, I
in
think
the
there's
north part.
in the south of UK as well.
But here, it's packed with them.
Yeah. I think this is their home, although you find them other places as well. A lot of people told us about them as well, like
Yes.
watch out for the
You don't
midges.
see them every day. Like, they're not here every day around our van. But when they're here, you can't get out of the van.
Exactly. I would say in 3 weeks we had like 4 days like that. So really not a lot, but those were obviously like beautiful days without wind and you just want to kind of sit outside, but you can't really. And we noticed that they came in the afternoon as well. So I don't know, maybe it was
Around
just,
sunset, they come, I think.
yeah, maybe we were just moving about during the day, but we experienced them in the afternoon. I think there's some creams and sprays you can buy, citronella candles, which helped.
And they hate lavender as well.
I guess if you're coming later on in summer, you're going to have more midges in the warmer months.
Before starting the drive, we were a bit worried about the single lane roads.
Yeah, it can get a bit dangerous at times. One thing that I will say is that there are loads of passing places. So this is something which we've seen here in Scotland, that along 99% of the single track roads, you've got so many passing places on the right, on the left, every 50
Every
meters,
50
I would
meters,
say. Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So basically, it's very easy when you come face to face with a car, one of you can pull in. And I will say that all the other drivers were amazing, like especially if there's a car, they normally, seeing us as a larger vehicle, will let us through. Apart from that, the potholes are a bit bad, but not really different than England, to be honest. Pretty much the same. And there's quite a few lay-bys as well where you can stop and rest. So generally speaking, the roads are quite good. Some of them better than others. And I think you just need to kind of avoid those busy times because the main stress comes when you come face to face with another larger vehicle. And especially like if you're going to have someone that's rented a motorhome and never driven one before, when you come face to face with them, they're not really going to be able to calculate as well. And it can make it a bit difficult. Like, we'll definitely say, like, don't rush, just take it easy, and there's always kind of a way out of it. But if you're new to driving larger vehicles, maybe get a bit more practice first before you take on the NC500, or else at least there are some of the roads which you might have seen in our vlogs where we kind of went along the peninsula. Those get a bit more narrow, maybe avoid those if so. But generally speaking, it's been okay. And even in regards to the locals, 99% of them have been very, very friendly.
Yes.
As I said, they let you through.
They all
most of the
smile
time.
at you, you know,
Exactly.
and let you pass.
Yeah. Everyone's happy. But I need to rephrase that. Not everyone is happy because we had those like 2 situations with an angry local and an angry farmer. Again, if you've seen those videos, you know exactly what happened. But basically, in one of the instances, I kind of panicked a bit and started speeding up. And to be
And we
honest,
nearly crashed.
yeah, we didn't nearly crash, but we had to brake a bit
Yeah,
hard,
because
you know,
another
when the
car
was coming.
came, in front of us and we nearly crashed.
Yeah, which I didn't think we nearly crashed. I think I had it under control. That's normal.
Supermarkets, that's our next topic. So there are quite a few along the route. We used to go every week and buy a bunch of stuff for that week. You'll find supermarkets in every town, but between Durnes?
Dunnes.
Dunnes.
You haven't learnt it yet.
Dunnes. Yeah.
Dunnes.
Dunnes, something like that, to Ullapool, we didn't see many.
The big supermarkets are in the big towns like Thurso and Ullapool. I think there was one as well. But in between, like the smaller towns, there are small shops as well. They won't have everything, but there's even one of them like in a container. The smallest shop, I think, in Great Britain.
In Clutchton, huh?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I remembered.
But again, it's just like if you buy some extra food, you know, you have at least, what we do is buy some stuff for the fridge, fresh stuff, and then buy some freezer stuff. And then that kind of did us nicely. And then when we got to a big town, we would then do like a big shop for the following few days.
Eating out, we didn't do a lot because we have our home with us, so we prefer to buy from the supermarkets and cook our own meals.
Yeah, that's the benefit of having a motorhome, and it helps you kind of travel on a budget.
There are a few restaurants and cafes along the route where you can stop, have breakfast there, or cafe, or something to eat, you know.
So in regards to fuel, we started with a full tank, and that lasted us quite a while. There are quite a few petrol stations along the way, but just not in every area. So don't worry about filling up, but at the same time, don't leave it like on an empty tank, because there are some stretches of the NC500 in the remote areas where you might not see a fuel station for about an hour or two. So don't let it go too low, but generally speaking, there's loads of places where you can top up on your fuel. Most of them are also automatic, so you can just like pay with your card and fill up. Now LPG is a totally
yes,
different
it's
story,
different.
because we couldn't find any LPG from like Inverness all the way to Ullapool, which is like a big chunk of the NC500 route. So we filled up before we started. Luckily we have a second gas bottle which we changed to kind of halfway through, and then we filled up again at Ullapool.
So we had to be a bit careful with the cooking and with the heating as
Yeah,
well.
everything gas related. In Ullapool though, we were so happy to find the LPG. We filled up, but it was actually just less than £1.50 per
Very
litre,
cost.
which is the most expensive LPG that we've paid for throughout our travels in the last 2 years. I guess
They know about it, so they put the
put
price,
the price up,
high.
but
yeah.
yeah, just to kind of look out for that. And if you do have an LPG tank, try and fill up before you start, and just keep it in mind that you might not find somewhere to top up along the route. Until Ullapool.
Phone signal as well, we had some issues with that. Some places were okay. At the beginning of our trip, we were okay, but then when we reached the west side, it was horrible.
So we're talking about phone signal and data, they kind of go together. And I would say that, yeah, some of the remote places we couldn't connect,
Nothing.
but it's kind of expected. And to be honest, like, it's no different than the south of England. I think we had as much trouble in Cornwall as we did up here, but there were some places that we stayed, even campsites as well, where you're totally disconnected. And to be honest, that wasn't really too bad for us. It was kind of
It
nice.
was nice, yes.
So along our trip, we stayed at about 4 or 5 campsites, I
Campsite,
think. Keep in mind we were catching up on some work as well, because if not, we could have stayed at less. And the cost of the campsites started off relatively cheap, and they got kind of more expensive.
Cheap, we're talking about £10, £15.
Yeah, I'd say
which is
£15 for each one.
very adequate, right?
Yeah,
for a
yeah, normal, I
campsite.
would say, normal. And then as we continued along the west, it got more and more expensive. So I'll say the east side was averaging about £15, the campsites that we looked at. In the north, it was about £20 to £25. And then here on the west
They
side,
kept going up.
they're like
40.
£30 to £35.
£40.
Yeah, there was some 40, but that was on the expensive end. But we couldn't really find cheaper than £32, like at some areas here on the west. But it is what it is.
Some of them were like first come, first serve.
Yeah, they had the notice out. And I don't know if that continues into summer, but that was really good for us as well, because we didn't book anything in advance. We wanted to stay flexible. One or two of them we called like a day before, saying that we're coming the next day. But apart from that, we just left it open and we were right. Again, if you're coming later on in the summer periods, it might be a bit more difficult and you might need to book ahead. But our advice would be kind of don't book everything day by day, so that you have a bit of flexibility to kind of enjoy and change up your trip as you're going along, depending on what you're enjoying and the weather, obviously, as well. There were also some nice kind of campsites, if you want to call them that, without services, maybe with just electric hookup, and they were about between £10 to £20, and one of them in particular was just beautiful along the beach. So if you're looking for kind of scenic locations without services, those campsites or park ups, if you want to call them that, provided by the locals, are excellent. We really enjoyed it there, especially here, like on the west side. We stayed at one last week, which was so beautiful.
Some of them as well are limited. So if you want to go to this beach, you're so limited because there are only campsites and just this one, you know. So
You have to choose, yeah.
you have to choose, or either you skip it. So
Yeah, or else
that's why we chose that one.
Most of them you have like a park-in space, you can go in and park, but they'll have no overnight camping sign. So that means that then you either go see the beach and then carry on your way, or else you have to go in either the proper campsite or else the locals kind of makeshift campsite, which sometimes was better just without all the services. As well as the campsites, we also found some service spots where you could kind of empty your chemical toilet, fill up the water, and those were amazing. They really helped us out on our trip. One of them we had to pay £5 for, the other one was £9, and the most recent one we went to was free of charge, just with a donation box, and that was pretty cool by the local community.
Those were the only ones that we saw in the UK, right? That were
That's right, yeah, I think so.
Like not like a campsite, but the services they offered, services. Okay, you have to pay, but those were the only ones that we saw.
Yeah, I think we saw another one in Scotland, but England and Wales, we didn't see any of these. You have to kind of go into a campsite to do your services. So Scotland as a whole, I think, and obviously on the NC500, they're a bit more well prepared for motorhomes and vans. In regards to wild camping, when I say wild camping, it means like just parking on the road or on a grassy area near a beach maybe, whatever we found. And we use like apps like Park for Night, for example, and we didn't really have any problems. There are so many to choose from. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to choose which one you're going to.
Too much to choose from.
And the only thing is, some of them were getting a bit busy. So the more popular ones, you shouldn't really turn up like late at night, because if it's just a small spot that would fit like 1 or 2 vans, you're most likely going to get there and it will be full. This happened to us a handful of times, but generally speaking, we had like a few options open. And where we could, we try to get there early so we can kind of enjoy the place as a whole. And again, we stayed at some amazing places, lighthouses, sandy beaches, cliffs, really a diverse place. And we enjoyed and stayed at some of, I think, of the best park ups that we've ever stayed at, especially in the UK.
It's like you don't want to leave from that space, you know?
It happened to us so many times.
It's so unique, and that's what we love about this place. It was a memorable trip for us. I can't describe how I felt in some moments, because
you
you're
don't even
just
want to leave.
there, you know, you're taking it all in. It's so peaceful as well and serene, because everyone that is doing the trip, they drive during the day. So at night, you're just you and nature.
Yeah, very quiet at night. Obviously, when you're near the towns, you have locals as well and communities. But in some of the areas, like especially along the north, there aren't really many people living there. So it's basically just people doing the route. And then, as Charlie mentioned, not even at night, in the afternoon, the roads just calm down and you get to enjoy it.
We kept questioning ourselves as well how these people live here, because there aren't a lot of facilities like hospitals and stuff like that. So yeah, we're amazed by these people that live there. And with serenity and peaceful places comes wildlife.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's so impressive. We saw so many animals during our trip here.
What were your favourites? Seals?
Jumping seals?
Jumping seals, dolphins, deer. And there was one though that we didn't see. You know, puffins.
We didn't see those puffins. We never saw deer in a river, and there was this moment during our trip, and that's a very, very special moment that I will keep, in my mind forever.
Yeah, the wildlife really impressed us.
I think we were fortunate as well with the amount of wildlife that we
were
saw.
Very lucky, yeah. And apart from that, there are also like some whale watching excursions, which we didn't do, but definitely an option for some of you maybe. I didn't expect it to be as good. In fact, in our first video that we put out, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, I asked the question, is this going to be our best road trip in the motorhome? And I promised that I would answer at the end.
Of course it is. Of course.
Yeah, yes. I have to say yes. Like at the beginning, I was questioning myself. Like the first week, it was like, oh, nice, but nothing too special. But then as we got into the second and the third week, I was just blown away and really beautiful. So I would have to say yes. I think
of course,
the NC500 is the best road trip that you can do with your motorhome at the moment.
For me, it was from the very beginning when we saw those dolphins swimming. Oh my goodness.
Very beautiful. So many moments to mention. Again, like if you haven't seen them yet, we've got videos of our trip. Feel free to check them out. At the end of the video, I will put up our part 1 so you can start from there and kind of see our journey in more details, see some of the things that we've talked about today, and kind of get an idea what the adventure is all about. Some lovely drone shots, I have to say. Not to blow my own trumpet, but
Impressive.
we went to some really, really nice places with some amazing park ups, and it was just an amazing 3 weeks, which kind of, we don't know, well, we've got to continue now with our travels, but it feels like we've been here for ages.
You feel so disconnected here. Like, for example, right now we're in this lay-by. It's so tranquil and peaceful. There's a little bit of wind. There's a cuckoo outside as well.
At the beginning of the video, we did mention that there's one thing that we would do differently if we were to do the trip again. You want to tell them what it is?
We would add an extra week on the west side.
Yeah. So
And
basically, yeah, we
skip
would
some places on the east part.
on the east. Like,
Yes.
as a whole, as a journey, it's amazing because it just gets better and better, and it evolves. Even the things that you see are totally different as you get to the north and to the west. But for us, if
you
we were
love
to do it again,
mountains
yeah, we
and-
would
yes.
spend more time on the west, basically. We spent the most of the time on the west, but we would spend even more time
More,
on
yeah.
the west. So basically, from Inverness up to Durness, we would do it as quick as possible, maybe even in 1 or 2 days instead of a week. And that would give us like some more time on the west side,
In the
which we
mountainous
really,
areas.
really loved. Really loved it.
What we told you is all from our perspective and from our experience. We hope that it helped you a little bit and gave you a clearer idea.
Yeah, if you're planning your
If
trip,
you're planning to come here,
Yeah.
yes. It's so wonderful. You should do it. That's 100% my advice. Go plan and do it.
Ellie,
Come here. Come here.
hey,
Very good.
she's awake.
And be good girl.
Now, Holly really enjoyed the NC500 as well. She had such a great time.
She's feeling hot.
Yeah.
Aww.
Now, the NC500 route continues from here back to Inverness, but we're going to head in the opposite direction to the Isle of Skye. So we're super looking forward to that. Just wish us luck with
With
the
the
midges.
midges.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm not looking forward for that. We would like to thank you for all of your comments. We hope that this video helped you and gave you a clearer idea of the NC500 from our perspective always.
Yeah, if you like the video, hit the like button. That helps us out. Maybe drop a comment. Let us know that you did or that you've been to the NC500. And yeah, I guess next week we'll see you in the Isle of Skye. But if you haven't seen our NC500 series, you can start watching up here with part 1, and you can see like all the places that we visited and see some of the things that we mentioned in today's video. If you've seen them already, I guess that's it, and we'll see you next week in the Isle of Skye.
Ta-ta!
Bye. Thanks for watching.